Welcome to the Welfare Rights Program. I'm Dale Brown from Threat Management Center, and this is 121 JAG. And today we are here to help you with some understanding on how to manage threats, specifically school threats, but also any other kind of threats involving force-on-force conflict with the humans. One of the things I want to bring up is you can call in and ask questions, and we'll answer your questions. Lately, as you can see, there's a situation involving school shootings. This is not actually something that's new. This is something that's been plaguing our country for many years. Most school shootings go unreported, and the reason why is because they're normally stopped by school teachers, they're stopped by students, they're stopped by parents sometimes, school administrators. Not enough people are shot, so they're not that, they don't get that much attention in the media. However, the reality is this situation, these are serious. These shootings are serious. The magnitude of the shootings that has increased for schools. However, the reality is the key to stopping them has nothing to do with guns. In order to stop school shootings, in order to stop school threats, what's imperative is that we think outside the box, create conditions where kids are not at risk. In other words, we don't add guns to, for example, airplanes to stop terrorists. That doesn't work out well. What we do is we create conditions where the terrorists can't get on the airplanes. That's the same thing we need to do for schools, all schools. Notice how Detroit typically doesn't have any of these school shootings. And that's something that needs to be celebrated about Detroit. Detroit does not have school shootings, active shooters. Any shootings that we have are very limited, and they're usually personal. They're never these, random active shooter scenarios. And that's in all cities, in fact. No urban environment has ever experienced a mass active shooter. So these are colleges in the suburbs. These are high schools in the suburbs, typically. And they're also middle class, so they're not the poor college towns or the poorer communities. And another thing to take pride in is the fact that there's no HBCUs that have ever had an active shooter situation. No historically black college or university has ever experienced any type of mass active shooter. And that's something to be proud of. Somehow, through all the rhetoric and false claims, the reality is we don't have that as a community in the African American community, the active shooter situations in that way. In fact, the only active shooter situation we've had in Detroit that's remarkable was a shooting at the fireworks some years ago, and that shooting was actually due to the fact that someone was robbed. There was a young man surrounded. He pulled out his gun. He started shooting. No one died. He wounded 9 people. But the truth is, had he been protected, had there been better protection preventing the robbery, even that shooting would have been prevented. So the reality is we can prevent shootings by creating conditions where shootings can't take place. So with the school shootings, what we see are typically school shooters are individuals that are European Americans that are disenfranchised. They're usually middle class, though. They're not the guys from lower echelon families in terms of economic status, and or they're upper middle class. A lot of times they are college educated. So the correlation between poverty, for example, and crime is not real. What happens is we condition ourselves to believe as a society that people that are poor are doing more crimes, but that's a psychological issue. That's not really true. The truth is we just classify those crimes differently. So when you talk about these school shooting situations, those are actually not occurring in the urban environment in that way. However, you'll still hear people say things like the inner city schools are very dangerous. The truth is we must change the way we view situations and safety. All urban schools deserve protection, and all the students deserve protection. And that means we got to create conditions where they're not in danger. And that starts at the perimeter. So all schools in the suburbs as well as in the urban environments need to have perimeter control. So there should be no way you can actually go on the property without being verified. There's no way you should be able to get into that school parking lot, approach the school without passing through a checkpoint, a gate that allows you entry and exit. And that's also how you could cut down on school truancy, as well as school kids coming from other schools that enter school property to attack and harass the other students at other schools. So it's just a really good thing to do is to create a safe haven at every school. And the way to do that is to create at least a 10 to 12 foot fence. And you can do that all the way around the perimeter and without making it look like a jail or a prison. The way to do that is to make sure that you have trees around the fence so it looks decorative. So all you see are well manicured trees, and in fact, there is a large fence between them, therefore preventing people from passing in between. The reality is, we have to create safety for everything that we care about, and we need to care about all the kids, especially in at-risk communities, because what they're at risk for is a lack of protection. So I want to welcome you to call in. Please feel free to call me. We got a caller. Welfare Rights, Threat Management. How can we help you?
Yes, hello. How are you today?
Excellent. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing. I'm sorry. I'm doing just fine. Yes, I would just like to know. Would it be okay if I could just make an announcement where Two Jobs is located at?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. HC. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Okay. HCR. That's a nursing home. It's on Fort Road in Dearborn Heights. They're looking for dietary aids. They're looking for a dietary aid to help with the trade line, and they're looking for dietary aids to help with putting the food in the food carts. So anyone that's wanting to be a dietary aid, please go onto their website, or you can go out there and submit an application, either or.
Great. So we got some job offers out there. Great.
Yes, and thank you so much for allowing me to put that information out.
Great. And what's the location again?
HCR, that's a nursing home.
HCR Nursing
Yes.
Home. Okay,
Yes.
great.
And it's on Ford Road and Beach Deli in Dearborn Heights.
Ford Road, Beach Daily in Dearborn Heights.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you.
Anyone else would like to call and ask questions about school safety, please feel free. Or if you have other general information that can help the community, please feel free. This is Welfare Rights, and I'm Dale Brown from Threat Management Center. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call. Please feel free to call in, and we'll answer any questions you have. Again, today's program is about school safety and about general safety for the public in general. So if you have any questions relating to that, please feel free to call in, and we'll help you out with some solutions, some possible answers for you. The call-in numbers are 313-868-0342, and you see the numbers on your screen as well. Again, the objective of today's program is to give you some ideas on public safety and school safety. And we're also going to show you some actual techniques on things you can do to protect your life as well as your family members from gun threats and gun situations. Back to school safety, which is what Maureen Taylor asked me to speak with you about today, the audience. School safety is really about preventing conditions for violence to occur, making sure gunmen can't get on the school property. If they make it through the first checkpoint, which should be on the perimeter of all schools, this is where you verify that they're supposed to be on the school property. The next thing they have to do is go to the entry point, which would be an area where they don't have access to students until they're verified by school administration and school security staff. There should be no way people that have not been verified and checked for weapons are allowed inside of any school. That's how we create safety inside of the school. But it starts on the outside of the school. We cannot wait for people to get inside and say, hey, you can't have a gun in here. And just as counterproductive is waiting for someone to start shooting people and then say, well, I'm going to go in there and shoot them back. That's really a bad plan, as you can see from the school shootings that have taken place. There's not enough time, and logistically, it's impractical and improbable that you can enter the school and go shoot the shooter. Some of the reasons why you can't shoot shooters in schools is the field of fire is not clear. And what that means is there's so many people and kids around that even if you try to shoot the right person, your bullets would either over-penetrate, ricochet off the walls, or you just would flat out miss that person and hit other people, hit other students, hit other school teachers. So that's why it's imperative really not to introduce more bullets into an active shooter scenario, except under extremely limited conditions. Like there's a backstop, they're outside, but if they're inside the school with lots of students, that's almost impossible to shoot back and not do some more active shooting yourself. If you were supposed to be helping to stop the active shooter, it would be counterproductive to shoot the kids you're trying to rescue. So what we need to do is really work on making sure that there's no way that active shooters can enter the school. Once we allow active shooters into the school, there's nothing good that happens after that. So that being said, some of the ways you can stop a gun from firing, very important. This is an automatic weapon, automatic pistol, which kills more people than any kind of a AR-15, for example. AR-15s are not used that often, and AR-15s also, this is very important, AR-15s are basically 22s, a really small bullet. And what they're designed for is to wound people in war. And the reason why America wants to wound people using a .223 caliber or 5.56, which is basically a really small bullet, much smaller than the AK-47 7.62 caliber. The reason why America and Israel uses this small caliber is to wound one of the enemies. If you wound an enemy, it takes 2 other soldiers to carry that one. Therefore, you remove 3 people from the battlefield. So the objective is not to shoot and kill the enemy. The objective of the M4 or the AR-15 platform, which you see being used in some of these school shootings, is specifically designed to wound. Therefore, 3 people are removed from the battlefield. This is also made very clear that it's not for killing, because in Vegas, over 1,100 rounds were fired, 600 people were wounded, and only 60 people died. That means 10%. 10% of the people died. If they had been shot with a 12-gauge shotgun, 99% of the people would be killed, at least 90% minimum. So you're talking about a drastic change just because of the size of the round. So a 12-gauge is much more destructive than a 7.6, than a 223 caliber or 5.56 AR-15 platform assault rifle. And AR does not stand for assault rifle; it stands for Armalite rifle. So just so you know, people are saying AR-15. It does not mean that. Okay, so this is a example of a pistol, and pistols are used to kill people way more than assault rifles or AR-15s or 7.62 AK-47s. The way this works is this is a slide on top. In order for this weapon to fire, this slide has to be forward. The hammer, when the trigger is pulled, goes forward. It fires the bullet by hitting the primer. Bullet comes out and strikes people. So this trigger has to be pulled. This hammer has to be free to strike the back of the bullet, and the slide has to slide in order to shoot rounds. So if you inhibit any one of those 3, either pushing the slide or blocking it, trapping the hammer, or blocking the trigger, you can actually stop one of these from firing. All right, we have a caller. Yes, caller. Welcome.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi. How are you?
I wanted to ask, do you still have the self protecting skills where you train people to protect themselves?
Yes, we do. We have free classes every Friday for anyone and their family. It's called Free Family Friday. It's every Friday at 7 p.m. So right now there are people at our school. It's at 6440 White Street. White is spelled W-I-G-H-T. It's right next to Mount Elliott Park at the end of Mount Elliott near East Jefferson. So if you went to the end of Mount Elliott, look to the left, there's a park. Our facility is a black building. It says Detroit Threat Management Center on the front of the building. Free class every Friday at 7 p.m.
Okay, that's Friday at 7 p.m.
Yes,
Would those skills be useful if you were in school and someone was carrying one of those weapons?
Absolutely. What we teach you is a lot about psychology, law, and skill. Even in the free class, we're going to teach you some very basic, very important information, such as stuff we're going to share with you today. And essentially what you want to do is understand that training works whether you're at school, whether you're at home, whether you're at work. Our training is based on the understanding of biomechanics, understanding the way in which humans think, and understanding the laws. Very important is to understand civil and criminal law. If you don't understand civil and criminal law and you take an action, what can happen is you can lose your freedom, or you can lose all of your money, or both. So we want to make sure that we help people understand what they can and cannot do to keep themselves and their families safe, but we also want you to do it legally. And that's why we have training for you at our facility at 6440 White Street. That's Detroit Threat Management Center. You can also look us up. Our website is threatmanagementcenter.com. And you can also Google us, Detroit Threat Management Center, to get more information and see a lot of our videos, a lot of things featured in the news about how we help people in general. We provide protective services for Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest, the golf course, Harbortown, Victoria Park, another 100 homes and businesses throughout Detroit, spread out all across Detroit on all sides. So we respond to alarms. We help people when they need help. If they call us for situations, just to escort them in and out of their homes in the middle of the night, or if they ask us to escort them, to work in a situation where they have a threat, we help them under all conditions. We also have businesses that hire us to escort their employees in and out, and that's a simple program. It's $10 a month and $10 a call. So that's the DECA program. So please feel free to give us a call for that as well. And that is through CSDP Security, a security guard company that we are partners with. All right, and so now,
Okay.
oh, yes,
Another question
yes,
is,
ma'am.
and you said it's free Friday for families. What about for the senior citizens that are still active? Do they
Yes.
have training too?
Yes, yes, ma'am. You can bring senior citizens as well, and senior citizens are welcome. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
and kids. Okay.
Thank you. You've
You're
been
welcome.
so informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Welfare rights. You're on the air.
Yes, this is Maureen Taylor. I
Hello.
wanted to explain to folks why it is important that I had to beg Commander Brown. I really had to beg him, but I had to get Commander Brown's attention and to get on this. We are living in a situation where you can get shot at school, you can get shot at college, you can get shot at the movie theater, you can get shot at church, you can get shot at your house. And I thought, we don't know what to do. So I think it is so important, Marion and I both, and we really wanted threat management to get on this program today and start talking to people about self-defense, how to prevent from getting into this situation, because clearly we are out of control. So callers, pay attention, take good notes, and let's see if we can save each other's lives a little bit longer. Commander Brown, as always, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Maureen. Thank you.
All right, go get them.
Thank you.
Matt.
Caller, you're on the air. Welfare rights.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I got a question there. I was looking at the news earlier this evening where 6 months ago, where this young man, a dog was attacking his neighbor. So he pulled his gun out, and shot at the dog, but it missed and it shot the young lady.
That's right.
And the lady died. So anyway, here it is, 6 months later, they was having this pre-trial, whatever it's called. Anyway, they charged him like with reckless using the gun, and which is a felony and all. So he can get 2 years. He pleaded guilty, I believe. He can get 2 years for that. But my thing is, it was not purposely done. He was trying to protect her, but somehow he accidentally shot the lady. So what do y'all think on that? I'm not saying you teach her how to use your gun carefully and whatever. But I think they should, if anything, give him probation or something. Giving him 2 years, he feel real bad. He's been suffering ever since. I was looking at the news,
Yes.
So anyway, I'm going to hang up so that y'all can probably
Yes, sir.
elaborate on that and what y'all feelings on that situation is. I'm going to listen to the rest of your program.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the caller brought up a very important, aspect of firearms ownership and management of threat. One of the things that we try to instill in people that carry guns, it is very difficult to shoot under stress conditions. In other words, when there's a threat, when there's actually threats, easier to shoot targets, at a target range, but that's not realistic. One of the things that's very difficult to do is to shoot anything moving. So whether it's a human or in the case where the caller just called in, he was talking about a dog. You have to understand lead and lag in order to shoot moving targets. And then you have to practice. So even someone explaining to you that if a target is moving and I wanted to shoot this target, I would have to shoot in front of the target. If I'm moving and I'm passing by this target that's sitting still, for me to shoot this target, I have to pull the trigger here so that I would actually strike the target. So it's very difficult, and then it takes lots of practice, even once it's explained, to actually be able to shoot moving targets. So the man was trying to be helpful to his neighbor, and she was being attacked by a dog. So he shot the dog, but he accidentally shot the neighbor and killed the woman. And now he's going to be going to prison. So this happens every day. People shoot the wrong person. Police qualify for immunity, so that's why they typically don't go to jail when they shoot bystanders and innocent people. But understand that's part of their job is to shoot shooters. So they consider that, a part of the risk of being a police officer, and that's why they qualify for immunity. Citizens do not qualify for immunity, so that means that even though you didn't mean to shoot someone, you're still going to be prosecuted, and the likelihood of you shooting someone is high, especially under high threat conditions. So guns are really hard to use under extreme high threat conditions, especially when the field of fire is not clear. So there's people in the background. There's actually was a guy that was shooting at a person, and it went across the street and shot an innocent bystander in their home. That person went to prison. So even though you mean well, you are responsible for every bullet criminally. Now, you're also civilly responsible for bullets even when you're criminally considered justified. So that means even though you shot someone legally, they can still sue you for their wounds. So keep that in mind as well. So there's really no upside to killing people, to injuring people. There's no upside. There's no positive to shooting people. If you're in a situation where that has to happen in order for you to survive, that's going to be. And that's unfortunately, that's still not going to be a positive. It's still going to turn your life upside down. And the reality is, to keep yourself safe, you have training that we offer that will prevent those conditions from occurring. So you're not in shootouts, so you're not in violence. Because anytime we use violence to answer violence, we actually create more violence. It really is the bottom line. So once you learn how to become your own bodyguard, which is essentially what we teach you how to understand praxeology, to read body language, how to project body language so that criminals don't pick you in the first place, but then also how to be ahead of them so that you can not wait for them to make a decision, but so you can actually take action ahead of time and keep yourself alive and safe. So what we're going to do right now is just show you some techniques on stopping this kind of a gun from firing, and that's semi-automatic. If we want to stop this gun from firing, 3 ways to stop it. 1, pushing the slide to the rear. Right now, he pushed the slide to the rear, so if I try to pull this trigger in real life, the bullet would not fire. And that could happen by him pushing the sides, the top. Sometimes it even happens in combative situations by accident. When people are fighting, the gun actually slides into the person and actually doesn't fire. So keep that in mind, that a slide out of battery, just even a small amount, causes the gun not to fire. So that's one way to save yourself in close quarters, is to push the top of the slide back of the criminal, and therefore taking out a battery, therefore they can't shoot. Another way to stop from firing is to block the hammer. I pull the trigger, his finger is now blocking the hammer. If the hammer was already forward and he blocks it, now when I pull the trigger, I still can't pull, I can't fire because he blocked the hammer and held it forward. Another way to stop from firing is he puts his finger behind the trigger, and now look, I still can't fire. So that's 3 ways to stop a semi-automatic weapon from firing. The top of the weapon, the slide, the hammer, and the trigger. All 3 of those must be clear in order for this gun to fire. So another type of weapon you may come across is a revolver. A revolver has a cylinder, and in the cylinder are all the bullets. The bullets are in here. This hammer goes back, fires, bullet comes out of the front when you pull the trigger. So to stop this, he can simply grab the cylinder, and now it can't fire. Another way to stop from firing is he grabs the hammer back here. Some weapons don't have an exposed hammer, so grabbing the cylinder is good enough. So right here, he's blocking it, so I can't pull the trigger because he's blocking the hammer in the back of the gun. Another way to stop from firing is, so he blocked it. It was going forward, and he blocked it. Another way to stop is put your finger in there. So now I try to pull it, but his finger is inside the trigger weld right here, behind the trigger guard, inside the trigger guard, so it cannot fire. So that's another way to stop this gun from firing. Now, some people say, well, what if I got fired? What if I got shot? I mean, wouldn't that hurt? Yes, it's going to hurt. The only thing worse than getting shot, remember this, is getting shot again. So hurry up and get the gun. If you think the first bullet hurt, wait till the second one comes, and a whole bunch of other ones. And for those people who think, well, if someone pulls a gun on me, I'll simply shoot them, let me give you an example of what happens. So he's going to point the gun at me, and he's going to say, don't move, and I'm going to try to lift this up and shoot, and he's going to shoot the gun if I try to lift this gun up. Okay? Say, don't move.
Don't move.
So we just tied each other. He's really fast. Let's try it again.
Don't move.
Mine went just before his. One more time.
Don't move.
I think we tied each other. So the reason is not because he's slow, and not because I'm fast, and not because he doesn't want to get fired. That's not it. The reason is because it's biomechanics. When his brain sees me pull the gun up, his brain sends its trigger a signal to the finger to shoot the gun. That's 0.02 of a second, 2 steps. When I lifted the gun and fired, that's 1 step. So that's why we're going to tie each other, or I'm going to be right before him. Even though his gun is already out and pointing at me, and my gun is down, or could even be behind my back, or down at my side, he says, show me your hands.
Show me your hands.
There's no way he can stop me from shooting him first. And it's human reaction time. It's not slow or fast. There's nothing we can do. You can't lift weights. There's nothing you can do to make that change. Human reaction time never changes. So the key is to not be gun dependent. Even if we were in a situation where he did have a gun, what I would want to do, if he says don't move, I want to move the barrel away, and then I would use my weapon to defend my life. But in the event that I don't have a weapon, what I want to do is move what's in front of the gun. He's going to pull the trigger if I move, and then from here, I control the weapon. So the key to disarming a gun of any type, remember this, is to move what's in front of the gun. All right? So even with this kind of weapon,
Don't move.
if I'm going to disarm this gun, doesn't matter if I'm standing or sitting, or it's to the side or to the front, what I have to do is move what's in front of the gun and redirect the barrel. So as long as I move what's in front of the gun first, if he's going to shoot, when I move, he'll fire. But if I try to do anything else first, he's going to shoot, and it actually would hit me. So what he's going to do, if I move, he's going to shoot. It takes an entire thousandth of a second for him to actually respond to my movement. So from right here to here, there's nothing you can do to stop that movement, and then I have the weapon. Because no matter how strong a person is, the weapon is a lever. So if you grab the barrel of the weapon, you can push to the rear, which stops from firing. You can also push the weapon down, grabbing the barrel, and take the gun from the person. There's nothing they can do to stop that from happening. All right, we have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I got two important questions.
Yes, sir.
What if a person got a gun in their home that maybe their parents left to them, or an uncle or whoever left with them or gave to them, but they never had to register themselves? And that's one question. Then what if my next question is, even though you should be 21 in order to buy a gun at all, not 18, I want to ask, what is your age limit that they can come to get training? Is it 18 or 21 or what?
No, we have kids. We have kids 5 years old.
Listen to the response.
Yes,
I'm hanging up so I can listen to the response.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
The caller asked what to do if you inherited a firearm and it's not registered to you. What you need to do is call your local police department, and then they'll direct you from there what to do based on the type of firearm and the circumstances by which you inherited the weapon. Second question is what to do. What's the age group? With our ages for our training, it's 5 and up. So we have courses that are age specific. We have kids courses as well as adult classes as well. So we don't hold back information. We want kids to know how to defend themselves, and so they learn a lot of the same basics we just showed you today. How to keep themselves alive and safe. Criminals are pulling guns on kids. We want to make sure kids have the education to keep themselves alive and safe, not to be dependent on someone else to come rescue them. They can self-rescue. They can become their own bodyguard. Imagine if all of us as children were taught how to keep ourselves alive and safe, even from a young age. So not only do we have an enhanced sense of self-confidence from having advanced training, but we actually are safer because we know what to do if someone were to try to harm us. In the event that someone has a knife, a simple way to get a knife out of someone's hands, and more people are stabbed by knives than shot by guns. Remember that. We just don't hear a lot about stabbings. To get this knife out of their hands, we have 3 ways. One, we can just take our palm and press on the side of the blade, and it comes right out of the hand. So the reason why this works is because biomechanically there's no muscle groups on top of the thumb to stop this action. So we can literally press the side of the blade, and it comes right out of the hand. Another way to stop it from happening, stop this person from holding the weapon, we simply push the thumb in, and it comes right out. Incredibly painful when you press the tip of the thumb into the second joint. Using your hand, it'll open up, and you take it right into your hand. So the first one is pressing the side of the blade right over top of the thumb, straight down. Another way is to press the thumb in, which opens the hand. And the third way is to grab the wrist, put your hand over their hand, exactly as their hand is, and press their hand back towards them. And it comes right out of the hand. So 1, 2, or 3. All right. Thank you. All right. Any callers? please feel free to call in Welfare Rights if you have any questions about self-defense and defending yourself. And what we'll do is take those calls. So in the event that you do find yourself in a firearm situation, remember the first thing you do, no matter what the situation is, always call 911 first. The reason why you want to call police first for all situations, number one, is to establish that you need assistance. So legally, if you do not call the police, if you do not call 911 on your phone and you cannot prove that, then essentially what you're saying is, I'm not in fear legally. As a result, it can be said later, post-situation, that you never were in danger. Because if you were in danger, you should have called 911. So the way you establish a self-defense scenario starts with the fact that you called 911 first. Second thing you want to do is make sure you never say anything that encourages violence. So you can't say, I'll fight you or let's fight, because then that's called becoming an equal combatant in the state of Michigan. So anytime that we agree to fight by our action or inaction, by our words or our actions, then we are agreeing to be in conflict, which is a crime. We cannot agree to be in conflict. That's an equal combatant. So self-defense is not that. Self-defense is, I didn't want a problem, I didn't want to fight, I didn't want to shoot, and someone came after me, someone started something, and I tried to get away, but I could not, so I had to defend myself. Due to exigent circumstances, I had to defend myself. Now, if you opted out of calling 911, if you had a chance to call 911 but chose not to, if you could have left but chose not to, if you said things to incite this person or to anger them and then used your weapon or then used your hands and hurt them, you are not in self-defense. That's an equal combatant or worse. Depends on how the courts want to look at that or the prosecutor wants to look at it. The best thing to do is remember to be the first one to call 911. Never say anything to instigate conflict, number one. Number two, do not do anything that shows you want to fight. So, for example, you want to try to back away. By backing away, anyone that's a witness, all the cameras in the area will see that you were trying to de-escalate. And then if the person attacks you, it's very easy to prove that it's self-defense. And the prosecutor will look at that, and the detectives will look at that and see, hey, this is straight up self-defense. Let's not proceed against this person. Let's go after the other person or no one at all. Typically, the winner of a street fight scenario ends up in jail, and the loser goes to the hospital. So what you want to do is make sure that you don't go to jail by making sure that you can prove that you were having a self-defense related situation. And the way to do that is call 911 first, attempt to back away, try to get video from your phone as soon as possible. All right, we have callers. First caller, you're on the air.
Yes, what I want to know is, because you and your partner is sitting close together, what happened if a person is a little ways from you? How you gonna grab the gun out of their hand like you showed us a few minutes ago?
That's a good question. The first way that you would grab it out of their hand at a distance is, number one, they're going to come close to you anyway. 9 times out of 10, criminals don't stay away from you. They're not scared of you. They have a gun. They're going to come abuse you with that gun. They're going to pistol whip you. They're going to put it to your head. They're going to threaten you. And one of the reasons for that is they want to feel powerful. They want to feel your weakness. So they want to put the gun right up on you, right against your head. They want to see you cry. So they typically don't stay away from you. But even if they did stay away from you, if you could get away without touching them, without grabbing the gun, that's great. If you can't, you need to rush, and you need to get that weapon from them. If you get shot, remember, there's only one thing worse than getting shot, and that's getting shot again. And so there's no such thing as outrunning bullets. So if you think you're going to start running and the bullets won't hit you, that's pretty much a bad plan. It's better to close the gap and fight for your life rather than just let someone take it from you. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you for calling. Welfare Rights.
Yeah, callers need to turn their radios and TVs down because you're getting feedback. So when you guys call in, you can hear yourself later when they record this. But when you're talking to people that's on TV, you have to turn your TVs and radios down so the feedback won't disturb the communication outreach. But I just wanted to ask if you're trying to defend yourself and you fear for your life and you actually take that weapon from them, you end up shooting them with their own guns or stabbing them with their own knives, is that a crime that you would have to pay for if you don't have, like you said, you don't have your cameras on, you didn't call 911 because you were in a conflict that you were trying to, defend your life. So is a fear for your life a defense as well? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good question.
Okay.
The caller asked a very good question. When we disarm a gun, when we are in a situation we're fighting, we use their weapon against them, can we get in trouble? Can we get prosecuted? And the answer is yes, you can. First, you got to prove it wasn't your weapon. The criminal typically is going to lie, and they're going to say you pulled the gun on them, and they're going to try to say it was your gun. So the first thing you got to do is, you're going to have to definitely be the one that calls the police if you can to help mitigate that. But understand that there's two parts to this. Even if you can prove that, and this may happen, that criminally, you're not a criminal if you defend yourself with their weapon. Okay, let's be clear. Though they could reinterpret it that way, it's really based on the prosecutor and the judges and your jury, or however they want to document this. But you shouldn't be considered a criminal. I'll say it that way. If someone that you disarmed loses their weapon to you, and you use that weapon to defend your life or the lives of others, should you be charged with a crime? Absolutely not. And that does not meet the standard for criminal charges. That does not mean that couldn't happen. However, for sure, remember this, that you can still be sued. So there's a man right now, and I believe it's in Florida. He used the knife from a guy that was stabbing, he had a knife and a gun. The senior citizen took a stool, struck the man. It was at a restaurant, struck the man, took him down, and then stabbed him 12 times with his own knife. So the police cleared him of all wrongdoing. So he was clear of all criminal activity. He's a hero. He helped, stop a robber. However, he is getting sued, and his retirement is now going to this kid who's 25 years old who was robbing this restaurant. And the idea behind the lawsuit and the lawyer's concept is that he didn't have to stab him and didn't have to stab him that many times. I don't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous. But the thing to remember is civil and criminal law is not related. So whenever you defend yourself or defend someone else and it's legal to use force and violence, remember you still have to pay lawsuits. Lawsuits are not related to the crime. They're related to damages. And so even when someone breaks in your house, even when they try to hurt you, they're still entitled to suing you, which is crazy, but it happens every day. All right, we're going to take a caller. Welfare rights. You have a question, caller?
Yes, how are you?
Excellent. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I was wondering, hypothetically, if you and your partner were in a store and your partner maybe was accused of stealing something, they thought he stole something, and they started beating him, do you have the right to pull your weapon to come to his assistance, or what?
Do you have a CPL? Are you a concealed pistol license?
I'm thinking of you yourself.
Oh, you mean if we were at a place and someone started attacking him, like the security?
Yes.
Do you mean the people that own the store?
Yes, the people that own the store.
Yeah. It's a this is where law gets really tricky. The reality is they're not supposed to use force and violence unless it's to defend themselves, or they can actually physically stop you. But if you begin to resist them for stealing, of course they have to have proof you stole something. So all this comes out in court later. So would we be able to pull a gun to stop someone from attacking one of us in a store that believes that that we have stolen something or something? Yeah, absolutely, we could. But then, of course, they could also argue that we stole something. So this is where the police come in, and this is where how they write the report determines everything, and also what the cameras show and what you're doing there, and is there evidence or is there a witness that you had something that you weren't supposed to have? I mean, there's lots of aspects to that, but in general, remember that if anybody uses physical force on you, you can't use your weapon unless your life's in danger. It's not for someone punching you or tackling you or wanting to fight you. The firearm is supposed to be for a life-threatening situation. So let's say someone wants to, fist fight you, and they come and punch you. you're not supposed to use a gun to defend yourself. A lot of people don't really
Yeah,
understand that.
I witnessed this happen yesterday, matter of fact, in
Okay.
a liquor store in the neighborhood.
Okay,
The
someone.
guy was in the store for a long time. They thought he had stole something when he actually didn't, and they beat him down in the store and drug him in the back, and and I don't know what they did in the back room. Then they let him out.
Yeah,
He
well,
walked
what's supposed to
off.
happen there is the best option is number one, you call 911 immediately, start recording the situation so you can prove it happened, and then get that person to be a witness against them. So he has to step forward, he has to be willing to testify against them, and then what happens is you beat them in court. Okay, could you have drawn your weapon if you were a CPO holder and you were going to defend this guy? You could have. I would not advise that because there's no lethal force component. However, you could argue that there was two men on one, and therefore you believed his life was in danger, which very well could have been. So, it's a really gray area. The law is about interpretation. A lot of it comes down to circumstances, situation, and also what people see. So remember what this person looks like determines a lot about prosecutability as well as self-defense scenarios. So, a lot of it's open to interpretation. It's not cut and dry.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes. Yes, sir.
On the gun, you said there's three components. There's the trigger,
Slide and the hammer.
the hammer is the thing in the back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, we have a caller. Caller, Welfare Rights. How can we help you?
One more issue.
Yes.
Welfare Rights talks a lot about telling people and warning people, don't go to the gas stations at night. Get your gas in the daytime so that you can see who's there and who's standing next to the building. So, Commander Brown, if you'll mention something about that. A few weeks ago, we had a former student at Detroit Community at a gas station. Her father was out of the car pumping gas, and one of their church members was in the back seat. Well, here come the young lady's boyfriend, who's arguing with her for God knows how long. She won't get out of the car, so he shot her multiple times in the chest while she was sitting in the car. This is something that happened over here on Finkel, not too far from Lasher, just a couple of weeks ago. And this culprit, he shot the girlfriend, he shot the dad that is pumping the gas, and the lady in the back seat just trying to get a ride to work, he killed her too. So say something about going to these gas stations, and then I wanted to tell listeners, I am really enjoying myself relaxing and listening to pieces of information. We met Threat Management, we talking more than 20 years ago here. And we had an event called the Social Forum, and came down Woodward Avenue, had Threat Management to escort us all the way downtown, and we had 35,000 people in Detroit. Commander Brown and his team put some Threat Management folks down there at Hart Plaza, where we got a bunch of people sleeping at night and everything. Nothing happened.
No
We had
violence.
Commander Brown protecting them kids up there on Woodward Avenue, right next to the Vietnam Veterans a building right there off of, I forgot what it was, before you get to Canfield, and they're sleeping outside in tents. We couldn't find a dope guy or anything else on Woodward. Threat Management took everybody off the streets. No one was hurt, and 35,000 people came to Detroit and left Detroit, and Threat Management took care of all of us, and they don't wear guns. Go figure.
We also, I don't know if you remember this, Maureen, but we had to provide security for the fireworks because of the political issue behind the scenes. And it worked out great because we had not one fight, not one shooting, not one death. And that came from the police themselves. A police commander came, called me on the phone, and it was during an after-action report that he said that the year before, that was the year we protected because Maureen Taylor brought us there, said that there was not one death, not one of these shootings, nothing. And then they said the next year there were 3 deaths associated with some, different situations. And the police commander contacted me and asked, if that was us and confirmed. And that's how I got the information that they had issues that year, the next year, but not the year we ran fireworks security. And of course, we also ran the 35,000 people basically protest down Woodward. And it was a huge success. No violence, no problems, no arrests, very positive. So we're very proud that Maureen Taylor brought us in and trust us with the safety for the community and all the people that came from other countries even to Detroit to support welfare rights and that year's USSF event. It was great, 2010. So if there's any more callers, we got another caller. Welfare rights, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm sorry to keep calling, but
No
it's
problem.
an interesting program.
Yes, sir.
But you know what? I know when you in your home, you got a gun. It may be registered or not, whether or not. But anyways, you got a gun in your home. Keep them out of reach of the children. They tell you to lock the guns up in your safe or in the attic or in a closet upstairs. You sitting downstairs in your house, maybe with your children, maybe. Somebody kick your door in. They come in with a gun. What are we supposed to do? Sit there and say, wait right here. Sit down, have a cup of coffee and donuts until I go upstairs and figure out the combination to my safe to come back down to shoot you and kill you. So what do you do in those situations? You keep your weapon with you if you got children, of course, on you with the clip on it or whatever, and all like this, because when you in a stress, even if you're home by yourself, you ain't got time to run upstairs and look in the attic and say, wait a minute, I'm going to call 911. Just have coffee.
Yeah, caller, that's a very good question. Caller, I'm going to answer that for you. So very important. The caller asked, what do you do if someone were to kick in your door? How do you stay ready? Several things with that. Number one, remember the pistols shoot at less than 2,000 feet per second, which means that even if you shoot someone with a pistol, they're going to shoot you back. They're going to keep coming. So a pistol's a bad idea anyway. You want to use shotguns if you're going to protect your home. So the reality is you want to make your house safer. You don't want to depend on getting people out that have already come in. So you need to create a safe haven. Make your doors safer. Use blockades. Use things that physically inhibit your doors from being kicked in. Put fencing on the inside of your windows. Make it difficult for people to get in your home. That is how you keep yourself safe. Not letting people inside and then trying to fight them back out. That is counterproductive. And what you want to do is create a safe room. So one room where all the family members will go. We have a reinforced door, and just put up metal or another piece of wood, nail it in. Just make it stronger with an outside door lock. Inside, meaning on the inside of the door, make it an extra strong lock. And remember that the safety is really about prevention. It's not about fighting back. So you really don't want to let things happen. And when you go to a gas station, you want to look around and, typically just don't get gas at night. I mean, just wait till the morning. If you're not sure, just wait till the morning, and always be mindful. Do not let your gas run down in the first place in your vehicle. In the event that someone does pull a gun, remember that a car cannot out-accelerate a human. So if a person's standing next to you in the window and says, give me the car, I would say give them the car. Because driving away, you might luck up, but remember this, a human can run faster than your car, can accelerate, and they can dump all the bullets out of that gun before you get out of range. So that's a very bad plan. If you believe they're going to shoot, you should just give them the car and get out and fight for the best right there. You'd be increasing your likelihood of survivability than trying to drive away with them shooting through the window while running next to you. So in general, remember that also one more thing, before you look outside, if you hear gunshots or screaming, make sure you call 911, let them know where you are and what's going on. Turn your lights off on the inside of the house before you look out so that you're not backlit. All right, caller, we have another caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Turn the TV down in the background.
Sir, can you turn your TV down in the background, please?
Turn the TV down. Turn the TV down. Hold on.
Okay, caller.
Yeah, had a question. Say we was in our house and it's nighttime and we're in the bed and everything is locked up and somebody break in on us. And they break in on us and I got a gun and they come inside to come in the harm and I shoot them when they die. Would I be facing prison time for that?
No, you shouldn't. You should not be. That should be completely legal because you're in compliance with the Castle Act, which means you can protect your home as long as you're home at the time that someone breaches and comes in, and then you defend yourself. Of course, if your bullets pass through that person and go hit someone outside or someone across the street, you would be in trouble for that, but not for shooting the person inside your home that entered against illegally. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, your door can't be open when that happens. Otherwise, there'll be no evidence they broke in. So a break-in needs to be evident to make sure that you're completely clear. But remember, you also still can be sued, and families can be very upset when their family members die at your home. So I would suggest you find a way to keep people out, and find a way to use non-lethal technology to keep them out. You can use pepper spray, you can use rubber rounds, you can use even paint guns cause pain and suffering when maybe want to leave. So there's lots of ways to stop people from entering your home or staying there or wanting to come in your house without actually killing them. And I'd like you to try to consider that, just because it can also keep the next thing from happening, which is retaliation by their family members when they're upset that their family member, even though they were doing something illegal, and even though you legally could justifiably kill them, remember the family members don't agree with that. And so this is a way to create a next thing like a firebombing or some other kind of retaliation. So if you can, try to avoid killing. It's really good to avoid killing for multiple reasons, including stopping yourself from having violence with other people in their family.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welfare Rights, you're on the air.
Praise the Lord. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
This is an excellent program. I'm enjoying it so much.
Thank you.
But I remember back some time ago that people could call you, your organization,
Yes, ma'am.
if they're having trouble with a divorce or something like that. Can you provide information in that area and your telephone number? A lot of these incidents can be prevented
Yes.
if they utilize your service.
Yes.
Please tell people about that. And thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you for calling. We help domestic violence victims, stalking victims, and crime witnesses for free. If they believe their life's in danger or their family members' lives are in danger, people call us. We help them for free. Police advocates send people to us. Prosecutors' offices send people to us anytime they believe that they're going to be injured or killed. And this is a free service. It's volunteer. We help people that need help and keep them alive and safe if their life's in direct danger. We also give you advice, and we also have free classes, again, at our facility. Our phone number is 800-525-3491, and you can look us up online, Threat Management Center, and our facility is on 6440 White Street, downtown at the end of Mount Elliott and East Jefferson near Belle Isle Bridge. All right, we have another caller. Caller, Welfare Rights, you're on the air.
Okay, this is the last question.
Yes, sir.
You know what? You answered my question, pardon. But some of these homes, like especially them townhouses or like Martin Luther King and them, everybody don't have security doors and all. They just have that one door. Like where I live in the Wayne State, I got security doors and whatever. So if somebody kick your door in them complexes, what I'm saying, you sitting there maybe with your children or by yourself, your gun may not be. This is what I'm saying. You have a right. My thing is, whether you got a gun in it, whether it's legal or illegal, you have a right to protect yours. And if I was on the
Yes.
jury, I'd put the judge in jail for insult 9,000. If don't nobody invite you in,
Yes, sir.
I know they're kicking nobody's door. And
I agree with you, sir. Everyone has a right to self-defense. Thank you, sir. Caller, you're on the air. Welfare Rights is our last call.
Yes, I'd like to encourage you. Could you tell people that don't want to buy guns where they could get other means of protection like the pepper spray? I'll hang up and listen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you can get some pepper guns, which don't kill people, at Harry's Army Surplus. That is located in Dearborn, Telegraph Road, and Ford Road. And so they're very simple device, allows you to spray, and you can even spray a room. And here's an example. This device right here, you just have a canister, goes inside, and basically you can spray this. It sprays up to 20 feet away, and you can even spray a room, and it makes so people can't breathe there, so they'll want to leave. So it's a very good device, non-lethal device. that it helps create safety for you and your family without killing people. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call us, 800-525-3491, or go to our website, threatmanagementcenter.com. And again, we have classes at our facility at 6440 White Street here in Detroit. That's at the end of Mount Elliott and East Jefferson, 6440 White Street, Detroit. And we look forward to having you and your family. It's free every Friday, 7 o'clock. All right, thank you, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.